Now I am pleased to introduce Congressman Jen Kiggans of Virginia. She's a veteran herself and co-chair of the Servicewomen and Women's Veterans Caucus. Please welcome Congressman Kiggans. Hi, pleasure to meet you. Mike Viqueira.
Nice to see you. Yeah,
Please have a seat.
Thank you.
Now I have some stuff. I'm all jumbled up here, so I'm going to catch up. You flew helicopters in the Navy, is that right?
I did for 10 of the best years of my life. Yes.
And it's the Sea Knight, wasn't it?
I flew H-46s and H-3s, deployed a couple times to the Persian Gulf, and met my husband, who's an F-18 pilot. We met in flight school early on, and he served for 20, and I did my 10, and then got out to raise our 4 children.
Wow.
So, yeah.
And how did you come to enlist in the Navy?
So I was an ROTC scholarship student in my undergraduate time at Boston University. So I grew up in Orlando, Florida, and my dad said, if you want to go to college, you got to find a way to pay for it. He was an Army veteran, so he was a Green Beret who served in Vietnam. So I grew up in a very patriotic house. We flew the flag, went to the Veterans Cemetery on Memorial Day, Veterans Day, things like that, and played that national anthem. I remember waking up to the Marine Corps marching band album like blaring through the house. So it was a
wow.
very, very military focused home. But so when he said that, and I knew I wanted to go I loved Boston. The history in the city is a great place. And so to go that far away from home, I needed to find an avenue to pay for it. And the military just seemed like a great fit, a place to serve, and some great job opportunities. So applied for a ROTC scholarship and was a lucky recipient. And then after I graduated, had to join the Navy. Mm-hmm. And although there was such a delay to go to flight school at that time, I was able to take a year off and go to teach English in Japan, which was something.
I did that.
Did you? It was that was a great job too. But as an international relations major, that was just a great opportunity. And then I came back and started flight school, and it took about 3.5 years to get my wings and to show up at my fleet squadron, where I was able to then deploy a couple times. So I did that sea rotation, then came back to shore duty and started to have children. We had gotten married, and so then got out after my second tour.
Where were you in Tokyo? In Japan?
I was in Matsuyama, so in Ehime, in Shikoku.
Yeah,
down there. I loved it with the jet program. I don't know.
Oh,
anyway.
that's cool.
Great job.
Well, let's not get too far into this, but I was in Kyoto, and I loved it.
Nice.
And I will indulge me for one more second, because I'm in the press, and in the White House pool, when you travel with the president, you fly, like if he goes to New York, you fly into JFK.
Yeah.
They put the president gets in in Marine One. The press gets in another helicopter. They're Sea Knights. And they're really loud, aren't they?
Nice.
Oh my God.
Well, I hope that they're we always say in the helicopter community, if it's not leaking, it's not working. So make sure there's at least something that's dripping somewhere, so you know your hydraulic fluid's getting a good round. But yeah, it was a great job working with just some great Americans. And I love being mission focused. I think that drives me in Congress too. And in the military, as I'm sure many veterans will tell you, we didn't talk ever really about politics or about your gender, your race, or your religion. We just did the job, right? We showed up every day. We worked as a team, and I loved that concept. I loved being on that team and getting the mission done for the country.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Great. Okay, you're on the House Armed Services Committee, the Veterans Affairs Committee, so it's pretty good that you're here. You lead the bipartisan Servicewomen and Women's Veterans Caucus. We already mentioned that. So you are at the center of congressional decision and policy making when it comes to veterans. What are the biggest needs of veterans on your plate in Congress right now?
Yeah, so for me, so when I got out of the Navy, we missed that part of the story and raised my kids, and then I went back to school and studied to become a geriatric nurse practitioner. So have been working in healthcare for many years. So that gives me, working in the VA Veteran Affairs Committee space, just some opportunities to work on meaningful legislation. There's so much room for improvement with the way that we provide health care for our veteran population. And I have so much in my second district of Virginia. It's Hampton Roads. So just a really large veteran population. The VA healthcare system is challenging. It has a lot of challenges, from electronic charting rollout to just making sure we have quality people working there, to how we're providing, especially mental health care. That was something, as a primary care nurse practitioner, I did a lot of providing of mental health care services, especially through the pandemic. So really understanding those challenges of getting that really important care to our veteran population. So I sit on the health subcommittee in the VA committee, and really just love to be a vocal advocate, because I understand, I think, have an inside perspective on how we can improve things.
You've said you're on a fact-finding mission to improve services for women veterans.
Yeah.
What are the unique challenges? What does that mean?
Yeah, so some VA hospital systems are doing a great job. In my district, we have the Hampton VA Hospital, which is actually close to my district, and they have a whole women's health center, which is great. They've got their own, mammography and providers that are very educated in women's health issues. So I would like to see that expanded. We met even yesterday with a group of actually active duty women from all service branches, listening to some of the challenges that they have on the active duty side, which are not too different, but just as a healthcare advocate in general, I think women have special mental health needs that we need to address. Part of the challenge with the mental health providing that and making improvement when it comes to the VA or even active duty military is that we can't do it alone. We're provider challenged, right? That being a voice for our providers has been something that we need more of, but we need civilian providers to be able to help us because we can't do it all within house. But we need to make sure we're compensating those providers also. That was working with the TRICARE system, making sure that we're providing adequate and prompt compensation because we need everybody on that team so that we have the availability of mental health care for people that need it.
So in the next 25 years, the number of women's veterans is expected to double, which is an amazing statistic.
Yeah.
So what needs to be done to prepare for that?
I think just like we're focused on other avenues of care, we go through kind of phases where we're focused on things like diabetes or obesity or heart health or mental health. So I think that making sure that we have people that are focused on women's health care issues too. I would like to see those clinics expanded and just making sure that they have the best technology that they're able to utilize for that primary preventative screening. That's something that I can continue to advocate and make sure we put our money where our mouth is and fund those things.
And you said you were a nurse practitioner.
Geriatrics.
Wow. All right.
Love that. That's another, as a lot of our veteran population is aging, and so being able to take care of them in the way that they want to age, right? I think these are their golden years, and that was why I went into geriatrics, to be able to partner with them and their families. Facility level care is one option, when we talk about our frail elderly, but aging in place is my preferred option. How are we supporting caregivers? The VA system has a lot of benefits that are out there for caregivers, but my challenge as a primary care provider was educating my patients and their families on what exactly they could have. The VA could build you a ramp. The VA can provide adult diapers or nutrition supplements, but so many people don't know what those benefits are. So that's half of my battle constantly, is being able to educate our veterans that these benefits are here. What can we do? So we put in legislation to support caregivers, to support caregivers' mental health, be able to have things like health savings accounts, pay for in-home care. So we've been able to do things to kind of expand what in-home care looks like. I think when I was a state senator, which I was before Congress for 3 years, we did a lot with nursing home reform. I think there's a lot still to be done in that space. But I think that we also need to think of alternatives and other options because we can't home everyone in a facility. And there are some great options, having seen patient outcomes of patients that do stay home and have loved ones take care of them, but that's the real challenge for caregivers. So just being able to provide some insight from my perspective on how we can do better for older adults.
You're a nurse practitioner. In particular in rural areas, nurse practitioners or physician's assistants are the doctors in town, and they might be the only doctors for a 150-mile radius.
Yeah.
So how does that translate, particularly in rural areas? How does veterans care differ in rural areas than it does in urban areas?
Making sure that we're letting non-physician providers or advanced practice nurses in particular practice to the full scope of their certification. That's been something that's not a new issue in Congress, but just making sure that we are allowing those people, because we have a physician shortage. We don't have enough physicians, but we're able to place people like PAs and nurse practitioners into rural communities. So making sure that they can do what they need to do. Access to telehealth, I think, has been an important tool for us, making sure we're compensating providers we did a great job during COVID, and we had some telehealth just funding mechanisms in place, making sure we're codifying that, because telehealth is a great resource for places like rural areas where we have non-physician providers, but they sometimes need, they need those tools just at their fingertips so that they can provide the best patient care.
Okay, finally, you wrote an op-ed ahead of Veterans Day about the value of serving in the military and the need to motivate the younger generation to consider serving. We hear a lot about almost a crisis, I guess it might be safe to say, in recruitment numbers. I'll ask you the same question I asked Allison earlier. What's the answer?
Yeah, so recruitment, retention, quality of life is so important to me. I sit on that task force with Congressman Bacon that we've started this year, and we watch those recruitment and retention numbers. But my district, and I still, as a retiree, my husband's retired, we shop on base. I go on base frequently, and looking at just some of our infrastructure issues with the quality of housing that we're putting our military members in, especially on the unaccompanied side. So much room for improvement, not just where they work, where they live, where they play. We need to make sure that we are providing the best quality of care. I want young people to join the military. My son just graduated from the Naval Academy. He's now in flight school, waiting to start flight school in Pensacola. I have 2 other kids that are in Navy ROTC programs.
Wow.
But I want other, especially people who have served. We want it's a great job. We want our kids to serve. I want people who have not had experiences with the military to want to go into that line of work. It's an all volunteer force. We've got a great military, a great country that needs to be defended, but we've got a lot of competition out there for jobs right now. So making sure we're taking care of our military members is of the utmost importance to me, and I work on it every day.
Well, it's been great talking to you.
Thank you.
I know it's crazy up on the hill these days, so I appreciate you taking the time to talk to us.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
Let me say, otsukaresamashita.
Arigatou gozaimashita. Thank you so much.
All right.
Have a great rest of your day. Yeah.